You've been breathing, but never like this. You've been thinking, but never beyond the veil. And you've been alive, but without the light that was born inside you. The ancients didn't just believe in enlightenment. They engineered it, breath by breath, bone by bone, symbol by symbol. And at the center of it all was a gland no bigger than a grain of rice, the pineal gland, the doorway, the lamp, the flame. But somewhere along the way, you were trained to forget it, conditioned to see with two eyes and ignore the third. Today, that ends. Because what Thoth left behind wasn't a myth, it was a technique, a sacred blueprint encoded in your own body. And once it's activated, you will never see reality the same way again. They've spent centuries hiding the one part of your body that could set you free. Not your heart, not your brain, but the pineal gland, a tiny, light-sensitive structure buried deep in your brain that was once worshipped by every major ancient civilization. To the Egyptians, it was the eye of Horus. To the Hindus, it was the third eye. To the Greeks, it was the seat of the soul. And to Thoth, the divine architect of Hermetic wisdom, it was the portal between matter and spirit. But today, you're told it's a relic, a leftover organ, at best, a melatonin switch. That's not an accident. It's a design, a carefully engineered program to keep you disconnected from your inner source of truth. They don't want you to activate the pineal gland, because when you do, you don't just think differently, you see beyond the illusion. Fluoride in your water, blue light on your screens, processed food, constant stimulation, all meticulously designed to calcify, confuse, and silence this sacred antenna. And what happens when it stays dormant? You become docile, predictable, easily programmed. But when it awakens, you begin to remember that you are not the labels they gave you, not the roles you were cast into, but a conscious being designed to receive frequencies beyond the five senses. The war against the pineal isn't new. It's been fought silently in schools, churches, screens, and science labs, not with bullets, but with distraction, mockery, and disinformation. Because if you knew how powerful this gland truly is, you would no longer need their systems. No priest, no guru, no media, no savior, just you, your breath, your stillness, your light. So the real question isn't, why is the pineal ignored? It's, who benefits from keeping you in the dark? And once you see that, you'll never look at your own mind the same way again. If you're ready to awaken your true vision, comment below as I am the temple. Like, share, and let others know what's been hidden for far too long.
They told you temples were built from stone, but the greatest temple is built of flesh and light, and it's right here, inside your skull. The ancients didn't just worship symbols, they encoded maps, anatomical, energetic, cosmic, within every glyph, every line, every myth. And when you overlay their symbols onto the human body, they match, not metaphorically, literally. Take the Eye of Horus, 6 segments, each representing a human sense: sight, sound, taste, smell, thought, intuition. When placed over a cross-section of the human brain, it aligns perfectly with the thalamus, corpus callosum, pituitary, and most importantly, the pineal gland. This is not coincidence. This is anatomical precision, preserved in stone, ignored in science. Then there's the Ankh, often seen as a symbol of life, but it's more than art. It's a diagram. The circle represents the pineal gland, the 0 point, the divine receiver. The vertical line is your spine, the sacred channel of energy. The crossbar? Your arms, your balance between body and spirit. You walk around every day with a structure more sacred than any pyramid ever built. Your spine is the Jed pillar, the central axis of the ancient temples, the staff of power in your own body. And at the top of this pillar, the inner lamp, the pineal, waits to be lit. Thoth didn't waste words. He didn't say, worship. He said, know thyself. And he left the instructions carved into your mirror, your body. Every vertebra is a rung on the ladder. Every breath is a prayer. Every gland is an initiatory gate. And when you begin to see with inner eyes, not just outer ones, you stop looking at symbols as superstition. You start feeling them as keys. The truth is, you are the living temple. Your brain is the sanctuary, and your pineal is the altar flame where heaven and earth meet. What they built in stone, you carry in bone. So the question now is simple. Are you ready to walk back inside?
There is a substance inside you more precious than gold, more radiant than the sun, more transformative than any outer ritual. The ancients called it many names: the sacred secretion, the oil of light, the Christos. It's not a metaphor, it's not fantasy, it's physical, biochemical, real, and every human being produces it. This secretion begins in a small part of the brain called the claustrum. From there, it descends down the spinal cord, in rhythm with the lunar cycle. A spark of living light born within you every single month. But here's the secret. This sacred oil can either be wasted or transmuted. If it is preserved, if the body is aligned, the mind focused, and the breath stilled, it rises. It climbs the spine, gate by gate, gland by gland. And when it reaches the pineal gland, something miraculous happens. The oil becomes light, the body becomes temple, the mind becomes illuminated. This is the real meaning behind the stories of resurrection, of Christ rising after 3 days, of the phoenix reborn from fire. These were never external events. They were maps of the inner process, your process. And yet, modern culture teaches you to leak this oil constantly, through stress, through anger, through distraction, through endless indulgence, through mindless consumption. Every time you waste this sacred energy, you dim the inner flame, you sever the path, you delay the ignition. But when you preserve it, you begin to change. Your dreams become more vivid, your thoughts become sharper, your instincts grow stronger, your energy field becomes magnetic, and the pineal begins to stir, not with belief, but with bioelectric awakening. Thoth didn't teach repression. He taught refinement. He taught the art of alchemy, not of metals, but of the self. So now ask yourself, is your body leaking light, or are you becoming the vessel through which it can rise? Because this oil is not unlimited. It is sacred. It is the fuel for your flame. And if you protect it, it will light the lamp.
Your spine is not just bone. It's a ladder, a living antenna, a sacred instrument of ascent. Every vertebra is a step. Every nerve is a channel. And when the breath becomes still, the energy begins to climb. Thoth didn't teach escape. he taught embodiment. He taught that the body is not a prison to transcend, but a portal to awaken. At the base of this portal lies your most primal energy, often misunderstood, misused, or repressed. Modern culture has taught you only two options: indulge or suppress. Both are traps, because the truth lies in the third path: transmute. When you breathe consciously, when you become still, when your attention returns inward, this raw energy begins to stir. It doesn't shoot upward like a lightning bolt. It spirals. It climbs like the serpents on Hermes Caduceus, like strands of DNA. This is not a metaphor. It is a neurobiological blueprint. The spine is the jed, the pillar of stability, but it's also the staff of the magician, the wand of light, the central axis of initiation. Each breath becomes the pump. Each moment of silence becomes the ignition. As this energy rises, it bathes every gland, the adrenals, the solar plexus, the heart center, and finally, the pineal. And when it reaches that crown, if your vibration is right, if your breath is clear, if your focus is pure, the crystals within the pineal begin to resonate. They vibrate. They emit light. This is not imagination. This is measurable, electrical, sacred. You were never meant to chase light outside. You were designed to generate it within. And that begins with the way you breathe. So ask yourself, are you using your spine as a ladder or letting it rust as a cage? Because the body is not static. It is sound. It is resonance. It is frequency. And the breath is the bow that plays the sacred chord. If you're ready to raise the energy and tune your inner ladder, comment below, "I am the Jed." And don't forget to like, subscribe, and help others unlock this sacred frequency.
At the top of your spine sits a tiny gland, shaped like a pine cone, no larger than a grain of rice. But when it awakens, it becomes a star inside your head, your inner sun. This is not poetic. It's electrical. It's chemical. It's cosmic. The pineal gland contains tiny crystals, piezoelectric structures that respond to pressure, breath, and vibration. When the sacred secretion rises, when the breath slows, when the energy is still and directed, those crystals begin to oscillate, and suddenly, light is born. Not from the sun, not from a lamp, but from within you. You feel it as a pressure behind the eyes, a glow behind closed lids, a subtle warmth in the brain, a knowing that doesn't come from logic, but from presence. The ancients called this the opening of the third eye. But it's more than vision. It's multi-dimensional perception. It's the moment you begin to see not just what is, but what was always hidden. Colors become brighter. Patterns appear in silence. Time bends. Your dreams become lucid. Your thoughts become electricity. And you begin to experience your soul, not as a belief, but as a frequency. This is the doorway to the divine. This is why Thoth, Egypt, India, the Essenes, all pointed here, to the lamp in the tower, the one thing they couldn't let you remember. Because once you light it, you see through the game. You recognize illusions for what they are. You stop chasing gods and realize you were the temple all along. This is the experience mystics guide protecting. This is why ancient initiates spent years in silence, in darkness, in stillness. Because the light they sought wasn't in the sky. It was in the brain, in the pineal, in the seat of soul. And once awakened, there is no turning back. The veil lifts.
The illusion shatters, and the inner sun rises.
Thoth didn't teach escape. He taught engineering the divine within the flesh. The blueprint he left behind wasn't about praying for salvation. It was about becoming the prayer. With your breath, your posture, your energy, your discipline. In the ancient temples, initiates weren't taught to abandon the body. They were trained to master it, to tune it like an instrument, to awaken the inner fire not by denial, but by alignment. And it starts with how you eat, not to feed your cravings, but to build light. Food becomes fuel. Fasting becomes cleansing, not for punishment, but for clarity. Then your thoughts. Every thought is a frequency, a ripple through your nervous system. Thoth taught, think with precision or do not think at all, because wandering minds waste sacred current. Then your breath, not shallow, not random, but rhythmic, intentional, a ritual in itself. Each inhale draws in universal potential. Each exhale purifies stagnant patterns. And your movement, every gesture matters. Walk like your spine is a staff of power. Sit like your heart is an altar. Sleep like your soul is traveling the stars. This is why modern life is such a perfect trap. It breaks this blueprint. Junk food, constant noise, rushed breath, scattered attention, no stillness, no reverence, just survival. But Thoth didn't come to teach survival. He came to teach ascension, and not the kind that floats above the clouds, but the kind that anchors light into bone, into nerve, into breath. This is embodied gnosis. You don't just learn it, you live it. You move as the temple. You act as the ritual. You become the flame. And this is the path most won't take, because it doesn't offer quick highs. It demands presence. It requires refinement. It asks, will you walk as light or continue crawling through shadows? Because now you've seen the design. The map is in your cells, and the temple is no longer sleeping. It's awake, and it wants to move.
Most people look at ancient symbols and see myth, art, or superstition. They see the Ankh and think it's a cross. They see the Eye of Horus and think it's decoration. They see the Djed and call it just another carving. But Thoth never wasted symbols. He didn't create ornaments. He encoded operating systems, tools, maps. Because symbols are not meant to be worshipped. They are meant to be activated. Each one speaks a language older than words, older than logic. They bypass the intellect and go straight to your energy field. They awaken memory, not thoughts, instinctual knowing. Take the Eye of Horus, 6 parts, 6 senses. But when you overlay it on the brain, it perfectly matches key structures. The thalamus, the pineal, the pituitary. Coincidence? No. It's anatomical precision carved in stone, preserved through time. The Ankh is not a religious relic. It's a diagram of your body. The circle is the pineal, the sun receiver. The vertical line is your spine, the ladder of light. The arms, the bridge between spirit and matter. It's not art, it's an energy circuit. Then the Djed pillar, Egypt's spine of Osiris, a symbol of stability? Yes, but also the conduit through which the sacred oil rises. It mirrors your vertebrae, your nervous system, your energetic highway. Thoth encoded these not to entertain, but to preserve truth across time. Because even if the language was lost, the form would remain. The shape would speak, And one day, someone like you would feel it. That day is now. When you look at these symbols again, don't just see them. Let them speak to yourselves, to your spine, to your remembering. Because they're not just carved on temples, they're carved into you. You are the living glyph, the breathing scroll, the walking cipher. And once you understand that, you'll realize the great mystery was never outside of you. It was always inside, waiting for the key. And the symbols? They were the key all along.
When the inner eye opens, you don't just see the world differently, you see beyond it. You see the patterns, the programming, the traps disguised as truth, and suddenly the illusion collapses. You no longer buy into the noise, the fear, the constant chase for validation. You stop asking for permission to exist. You realize you were never broken. You were just distracted from your power. And when that power returns, when the pineal glows, you become dangerous. Not because you fight, but because you can no longer be controlled. You stop believing headlines. You stop following crowds. You stop consuming systems that feed on your doubt. You begin to sense lies before they're spoken, feel energy before it's shown, navigate life not through thought, but through knowing. This is why systems fear the awakened, because one who sees can no longer be manipulated, and many who see, they build a world the old systems can't survive in. You were never meant to serve empires. You were meant to anchor light. And anchoring light begins with presence, stillness, breath, awareness. Every time you choose clarity over chaos, you weaken the illusion. Every time you preserve your sacred oil, you strengthen your current. Every time you walk with intention, you transmit light into this world. And suddenly, the matrix doesn't crack because you fight it. It dissolves because you stop feeding it. This is the path of the initiate, not to escape the world, but to rewire it from within. When the pineal opens, it's not the end, it's the return. You become the guide, not by preaching, but by embodying truth so loudly, others remember just by being near you. That's how the world changes, not through force, but through coherence. You are not just awakening for yourself, you are awakening for all of us. And the moment your inner sun rises, you become the signal. You become the torch. You become the truth.